I'm really sensitive. I'm a very sensitive soul, which I consider is my absolute superpower. My son is like it as well. Like that is like the beauty, a raindrop plopping. I
Yes.
am in love with that moment. But
Me
most
too.
people will just walk past because it's just a ploppy raindrop. And I think that makes me really sort of open to the feeling of the space. Like there are some places I've been to and I have got the hell out of it really quickly because I just feel super uncomfortable in it. And I don't know whether that is something from another realm. Who knows? But I just can really feel a space. And I can also feel a space. I've been in some homes where they've got really beautiful, amazing homes, but they're not in love with them. And I can feel that. And I can't describe it.
It's like an emptiness.
Yeah, I can just feel the disconnect, but I can also see what to do about it, which is what brings me the most joy because the difference. Like one client, she got really tearful because she knew she had a really lovely home. So it's not about a lack of gratitude. It's just knowing that there's an offness. And I redid a room that had been, some choices have been made that she didn't really want to make. And so we sort of redid it and she loves it now. And every time I see her, she's like, I love it.
Oh.
She can't tell me enough times, but every time it just makes me, that's why I do. And actually I've got a new client just starting and she's really poorly and she's not going to get on poorly, unfortunately. But she wants me to help her like finish off her home. And like, what a privilege.
What a privilege.
I mean, it makes me feel a bit.
Gosh.
Yeah. It's quite big for me, obviously, but also and this is the thing, it's this intuitive thing of don't give up on this because this is why you do what you do because I want to make a difference. And I can make a difference because home is what holds you and supports you. And she is going to need her home to do that. And she doesn't want to be thinking.
She doesn't want the stress of it all.
Or thinking, oh God, if I'd have finished that, I just wish I'd got that done. Like she wants to do a lot with art and stuff. I wish I'd done that and now it's too late. And I can sort that out for a super quick, help her do it all. And then it's going to make her
she'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
She'll enjoy it, the time in that space. And I want to just circle back round to this this purpose and the why and the charity work that you mentioned earlier. Because the idea, I mean, the weather today is absolutely atrocious. And the thought of people being out on the streets and not having anywhere to live, it really, really gets to me. I don't know why we are still battling this issue of homelessness. And there are so many amazing charities out there that are doing incredible things. What sort of charities are you hoping to work with, or what would you like to do in that space?
When I first started, there was an interior designer in America that I really loved, Henderson, her name is, and she was working for this charity. She was doing some volunteering work for this charity that basically helps women and children displaced because of domestic violence recreate a new home. And a lot in this country, when you've escaped domestic violence and you're rehomed in a shell. There's often no carpet, nothing at the windows, which is absolutely diabolical because that's the first thing for someone that's been through that to feel safe. No white goods, no beds, nothing.
What?
Yeah. So you're
literally just given a roof and four walls.
And so there's there's two charities, and she kind of started, and then there's another one called Healing Homes West, I think. I can send you them. And what they do, they basically raise awareness, raise money, do an Amazon buying thing. So they set up everything. They get interior designers to help them. They get brands to give them furniture. And then they refurnish these spaces for these families. So they'll put a thing out saying this family has been through this in a roundabout way, or this child is sleeping on the floor of a grandma's bedroom and has never had her own room. Things like that. and then they'll transform the space. And it's unimaginable to go from having nothing and to leave everything like that, to then be able to give them, to create a home for them so that they feel safe and comforted, so that they can be together. It's super important. And that's why, I mean, obviously I want to make a success out of my business, because I also want to have,
Nice
be able
things.
and to afford joyful things with my family. That's what I'm doing it for. But I also, my bigger thing is that I've always wanted to support those charities. Furnishing Futures, that's the other one.
There we go.
And I want to be able to contribute to those. And it's always kind of been my thing of not displacement, because I've had a bit of a background in that, not in that way, but I understand. It's back to that understanding the importance of a home that holds you and feels like when you walk through the door. And there's lots of different, it can be a frazzled mum coming home and just thinking, oh God, I don't want my home to be another thing on my emotional, on the mental load, to someone that physically needs safety and comfort.
Well, we will put both of those organisations, the links to those organisations, in the show notes so that people can actually go and see this incredible work. And it would be, I guess, you would sort of put proposals forward to work with them, would you?
Yeah, so I'd like to be able to just financially contribute to them as well, but they sort of know, we've often talked, because they're very because it's such a big thing, they have to have a warehouse. So Healing Homes was started by a social worker, so there's kind of but it's quite intimate, because there's a lot of things you have to go through with each council or whatever, because it's a big thing. It's
to keep safeguarding, I guess, data protection, safeguarding.
There's so much around it. It's not just going to put a sofa in it. So they're doing great stuff, but it's only based in a couple of areas of London at the moment. And obviously the need is across the whole country. So I've always sort of said to them, if the finances become available, I would love to be trained up enough to open something in my area and do that. Yeah. But they have interior designers sometimes going to do the room, or getting things that they've used in styling sheets and donating those. Yeah, it's such a tangible thing to do, to see, and it's really clear to see the difference and what impact it has.
Well, will you keep us informed? Will you let us know when that all happens? Because, I mean, obviously we are connected now on socials, even though I can't see you because of the algorithm. Damn you, Instagram. But, I do want to support. That's why we're here, right?
And to be creativity, the sort of conversations you have, it's kind of like everything to me. It's what makes me feel good. And that's kind of why I do what I do as well. So it's so important, I think, to recognize the struggle, support each other, understand the power of it and what it's doing for us. And if you can sort of lift, it's funny, I was at a networking event the other day, and the girl that ran it, I ended up talking to another interior designer who lives fairly local to me, who I've never met before. And we start talking about our kind of values and our ethos, and they're really aligned. And we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Da, da, da. And then the person that had ran the networking got in touch with us afterwards and said, can I do an Instagram live with you? Because it's really unusual that two people in the same industry with the same kind of ethos, obviously we've got totally different styles, and I don't know her, but I imagine she's a bit more sophisticated than me and less sweary. And she designs
You haven't sworn once.
I bet I have.
You haven't.
Her style's very different to mine, but we immediately connected, and she said that's really unusual. There was absolutely no like barriers up. There was nothing. It was so open, and you were so open to each other. Like, yeah, because that's how it should be. Because
yeah, I haven't managed to get to any networking events yet because it's so difficult to get to them, to be honest, around school runs. And, I was chatting about it in my Substack. I would love to be able to get to the networking events and meet people like you and chat to you about your work and, the power of creativity, but I just can't get to them. So it's amazing when you do get to one and then you connect with somebody like that, because that's somebody that you're probably going to do some collaborations with, I should imagine. Or just to support each other, just check in every now and again.
We don't need to be like hiding, because that's what we were talking about. I don't need to hide my philosophy and how I do what I do. I don't need to hide that from you, because I'm quite confident in what I do, and you're confident. But we can share our sort of problems and challenges and our successes. I tell you what, before you know it, I know this is a bloody cliche with the kids, with having children, but they change, and so your needs change, and how you want that space to feel, what you want it to look like, what you want it to do. Like by the time we get around to our kitchen sorting, my third child will have flitted away, and we won't need a big. Well, we will, because we'll be having some parties.
Yeah.
But their needs change, so it's best you just need to get it done rather than thinking I'll wait. And I do that in my own home. Well, I have done it, which is why it's still the wood chip wonderland 10 years later. Because you put it off, but it won't ever be perfect, because things change, or your home evolves all the time.
I think I just want a bit of calm.
Yeah, and that is unfortunately it's kind of, you've got to wade through it when you're doing a reno. There's not really, you can get to calm. I mean, a house and it's funny, I'm just thinking about this house that I did probably like 18 months ago now. I did the whole house. It's an absolutely massive house. Her 3 daughters are grown up and left. She wants to redo it and make it really feminine and gentle and calm. But during the process of the reno, where her home was overtaken by, it was a big job. She had loads of men in there it was all men. Actually, it was a couple of women. They took it over. There was disagreements between people working on the project. She used to ring me in tears because she started to hate her own home, because it just got so overwhelming. She nearly sold it. I was absolutely devastated, because after all that work making it feel so good for her, she fell out of love with it. She's now come back round and she absolutely loves it. And it is so calm, but she kind of had to go through that storm to get there. And I'm so glad she stuck with it. So calm can come your way in that home, and then you might feel more connected to it. Maybe you could put some some intentional stuff around, even when the walls aren't done, to kind of display little things that will spark joy. And reflect your values, reflect what you hold dear as a family. Might just be a nice picture. You could just stick it up on the bare plaster or whatever, of something that you've done this summer. And that meaningfulness will make you feel that little bit more rooted to it, even when it looks like a
dog's dinner. I'll send you some pictures.
But it's kind of, there's nothing I can't, you can't take away that process. I mean, everyone hates it. No one loves it. I've never met anyone that loves it.
No, unless you're kind of, you're doing something up and you're living somewhere else. but we don't have that luxury. We've got to live in the mess. And I suppose, bringing it back to this idea of creativity, the process of being creative in whatever medium it is messy. There's ups and downs. You feel in the thick of it. You feel invisible. You feel lost. You don't know where you're going. You've lost all your rations. All of those things. But it is part of it. It's what makes the final hurdle, final step, wherever that destination is or whatever it looks like.
I think that is part of it. And it's almost like that's what happens when I design as well. I would think up my initial strategy, and then I'll get to a bit in the middle where I don't know about this. And what if it doesn't quite feel, and I have to work. It's like having a bit of play. I have to kind of work at it to really get it. And because I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I almost have to close myself off, like, no, don't, you could overthink. You could keep looking for sofas for the rest of your life. The ones you've chosen, and I even do that, and I'm an interior designer, so if you're just in your own home trying to find one where you don't know what to look for, or shapes or colours or textures or fabrics. Yeah. So I think you're right, that creative process is messy. Like, I went to a sip and paint for the first time the other night, and I was getting
you messaged me.
Yeah, getting my knickers in a right old twist about, well, this just looks rubbish. And then I was taking me back to being at school, where I thought I had the creative sense, but I couldn't put it down on the paper. And my family are all really good at drawing. Like, my brother's an artist. My mum and dad are both really creative. And I used to get really annoyed, and I had to think, right, just let it go and see what comes. And mine was totally different to everyone else's, possibly partly because my perfectionism. Someone said to me, "Oh, are you a really ordered person?" Which made me laugh, because no.
But I think that's wonderful. Out of everybody else that was there, yours was the one that was different.
Yeah. And maybe that's just, if everyone goes left, I go right. That's just my personality.
I love it. I just love chatting about all sorts of different things, because creativity is in it all.
Yeah, because I read that post that you said about what they'd fed back about, what was it, like, reflect your values and your, but I think that's what you do. So I don't know how because creativity is different to everyone, but it's the same themes, isn't it? So I don't know how you can sort of, like, demonstrate that more than you already are. I don't know. You're working things through, aren't you? And creativity is like your vessel, a processing vessel, isn't it? Because I know instinctively when I'm feeling a bit like just something's off, I will either get a paintbrush out, go in the garden and get my hands dirty in the soil, go and look at a raindrop, hug a tree. I will go read poems. I read loads of poems.
What's your favourite? Do you have a favourite poem?
Oh gosh, what's the author called? The Stolen Orange. That's one of my favourite poems. It's basically about who wrote it? Oh, God, I'm menopause. Totally forgetful. It's basically about putting an orange in your pocket, and you hold it. If you think that there's nothing great happening in the world, you just put your hand in your pocket where the orange is. Yeah, I love reading poems. I've got loads of, like, anthologies, like the ones for one for every autumn, winter's day, and all those sorts of things. I love things like that.
And then, it's so funny, because when we get, at some point I'm going to stop recording, but I just love talking to you. I obviously I go to the library quite regularly with my little one, and for the first time in a very, very long time, I picked up a poetry anthology. Out There in the Wild. Obviously, it was the title that got me. But I wanted to. This poem really. Can I read it to you?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love you to.
Okay. So this poem is called Stick Insect. Stick Insect doesn't look for company of her own kind. Call her shy, call her aloof. She will not sway. Root, branch, leaf, she is nothing but herself. Turns up on plants without an invite. Holds her nerve against the wind.
What a brilliant poem.
I just love it.
We're stick insects.
We're sticking together.
Oh, that's lovely. There's such there's just so, I think you come across, and I think you come across words when you yeah, I do this thing, although I haven't done it this year. There's a lady called Beth Kempton that I follow on Instagram, and she does poetry prompts a few times a year. She does it in autumn and winter, and I always do them. I love writing poetry. And I got so inspired last year that I did not enter a poetry competition. I entered a nature writing competition. I actually got shortlisted for it. First
Did
time I've
you?
ever
That's
entered
amazing.
some writing. Yeah.
Will you share the poem?
Well, that wasn't a poem. That was a piece of writing.
Oh, sorry.
That was
Piece of
called
writing.
I think I called it Belonging in a Bottle. It was about if you could just bottle those moments when you feel really rooted or connected. And it was all about in nature. Like, I've got a walk that always makes me cry when I go down to Cornwall, like on a cliff top walk. It always brings me to tears because it's so beautiful and awe-inspiring. So I was thinking if I could bottle that and I feel really at home there. And it's kind of about that. And that'll feed into when I get round to write my book, which I say I'm writing, but I've been writing it for years.
So what is the book?
So the book
it's
a bit tricky because it's about, part of it is about the non-relationship with my mum.
Okay.
And the generational stuff that's happened before that, which is why I don't have a relationship with my mum, and how that displacement sort of feeds into the need for home and belonging and comfort, and how it is possible to find that even when something so profoundly affecting as not having your mum in your life when she's around, how you can still make your own roots and connect and be your own kind of mother and hold space in your own home. That's kind of that's where I'm going with it, but it's quite tricky because she's still here, and it has to be my version of the story.
Yeah.
I can't be telling her story because I don't really know how she thinks about things. But there's her backstory, and therefore my backstory is pretty awful. There's a real story to tell of displacement and tragedy.
Yeah.
But all
trauma.
about, and trauma, but all about not being home, being far away from home, being moved. And my mum was moved across the world when she was 9, just after her mum died.
Wow.
Yeah.
On her own, or with family?
Well, so her mum died. Her mum had got remarried because her dad was not.
You don't have to tell me, by the way.
It's a really interesting story. I want to include it in my book somehow, but it's how I tell it. So basically, they my grandma and granddad, it was not a very good marriage, and there was domestic violence there. So my nana and dad and my great grandparents flew out from England to Australia to go and sort of save her, really.
Okay.
She got divorced. She'd had my mum and her brother. She got divorced and remarried, and he was apparently really nice. But then when my grandma was, I don't know, I think she was 35 or something. I don't know. My mum was 9 anyway. She was pregnant with twins, and she had a hernia, and she died, which wouldn't happen now.
Gosh.
And the husband blamed himself for her dying. Anyway, so then my nana and granddad said, I'm going to take my mum. Oh no, then my real original granddad said he didn't want my mum, he only wanted the brother. So then my nana and dada brought my mum over to England when she was 9 on the boat. It took 6 months to get from she went through through the Yemen and all sorts of stuff on the boat. So 9. And then the stepdad was going to come to England to look after her, but unfortunately he drank bleach and committed suicide because he blamed himself.
Oh,
So my mum didn't see
God.
her brother for
Oh,
something
my
like
God.
30 years. I actually met him in Australia before she saw him. She never spoke to her dad again. Yeah. I mean, it's no wonder that my mother has a problem with maintaining relationships, even with her own two children. She can't do it because she's never been taught. But it's such a fascinating story about displacement. And like my grandma went out to Australia, got married when she was like 17, I think, to join my granddad who was in the Australian Air Force. So she flew out there to sign a legal document because she wasn't really old enough to go or get married or something. So she went off there. That changed everything. Then my mum comes back all that way. Like my opening line of my book is being on the boat coming home on Christmas Day, because she would have been on the boat on Christmas Day just after her mum died. So that's where I open my the big story, but
you have to write this book.
It's like really interesting. It's too, and I kind of want to do it for my grandma. I've got a real like thing. Obviously, I didn't meet her, but I've got a real thing of like wanting to make something of what she didn't, you know. But it's also super important to me that I don't carry that legacy on again, and that I don't, for whatever reason, there is no abandonment of my children. Yeah, so it's all fed into that. It's quite a big thing, but it's all connected to home as well.
It's the foundations of your practice, of your work, the way that you want to support the charities that you've identified. It's full circle, isn't it? I can't wait to read it.
Thanks. Can't wait to write it.